One of my favorite breakfasts growing up was cream chip beef gravy over a nicely toasted English muffin. And when Jeff and I started eating low carb, I decided I wanted to have some cream chip beef, but do it low carb style. So that's what we're gonna do today. Welcome to the Salted Pepper, where we cook for real life using real food and we keep it real simple. And today I'm going to show you how to make a keto version of cream chip beef. It's super easy to do and it only takes a few minutes. So it's a great breakfast to make even if you have to get to work. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is start heating up my pan. I'm also going to make an egg because I like to make an egg bowl to serve it in, because traditionally you serve it over toast, but if you're eating low carb, then you're going to want to skip the bread and use the egg instead. All right, I'm going to heat up both pans on number 5, which is about medium heat. You want to go under medium high heat to start, okay? I'm going to put in about 1/2 tablespoon of butter into the pan that I'm going to cook my egg in, 2 tablespoons of butter into the pan I'm going to make the chip beef gravy in. And then what we need to do is get the chip beef out of the bag. And this can be hard to find depending on where you live. They do have dried beef in a jar, and I've been meaning to try it to see if it will work, but I haven't yet. But if you can find this type of chip beef, that's what I use. I recommend taking it out of the refrigerator about 30 minutes before you're going to cut it up, because it makes it easier to separate. And then what I do is just keep the whole chunk here, just like that, and just take my knife and make little strips. Okay. And then just sort of fluff them up, separate them a little bit. You don't need to get too particular. They will separate as they cook, and throw them into the pan with the 2 tablespoons of butter. Some people like to soak their chip beef before they cook it to kind of draw out some of the salt. I don't do that, but I don't add any salt to the recipe at all. Put those in the pan. Now you can do as much or as little as 1 package. So you can do 3, 4 packages. You just change the ingredients accordingly. All right, let's go ahead and get the butter moved around in the pan here to coat the bottom. Now I'm going to reduce the heat to low. And I've already had, this is just 1 egg. I didn't even put anything in it, so no salt or pepper, anything, because the chip beef is so flavorful. And just pour that right in the pan. And then I'm just gonna put a lid on that, and let's toss around our chip beef to get it coated in the butter and just lightly cooked. Smells amazing. This is so delicious. All right, next thing I add in is 1/2 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. That is optional. It's such a small amount that I don't worry about it not totally being keto, but it's up to you. You don't have to put it in, but it really does add a really nice flavor. The next thing that goes in is 1 cup of cream. Now you could use milk, you could use 1/2 and 1/2, that would be fine. I just wanted to keep it to the people that want to follow keto. The heavy cream is probably better. And then 1/2 cup of water. So if you're going to use milk or something like that, you would use 1 1/2 cups. All right, now we have to thicken it, okay? And the way that I like to thicken it is with xanthan gum. It's like the magic thickener, because unlike, first of all, it's keto. Secondly, it's not like cornstarch. You don't have to bring it up to a boil, so it works really well for like salad dressings and things like that. But you can't just add it straight into the liquid or it will just clump. So we have to mix it. And I start off slow, okay? So I start off with 1/2 teaspoon of the xanthan gum. And just a little bit of heavy cream That has the fat content, so it won't clump. You just mix it up. You could also use melted butter if you wanted to. That works fine. So just make it into a nice liquidy form. So I need a little bit more cream here. You can see how thick this makes everything. So I think a half of a teaspoon is going to be plenty. All right, this is boiling, so I'm going to turn my heat down now to 2, which would be like a medium low. All right, so once it's well mixed, and see how thick that is, then you're gonna add in, and I start off with half of this, okay? So just put that right in there and start to stir it around so it incorporates. All right, the egg is done, so I'm gonna move this over here and just sort of lift it up. Then what I like to do is flip it over and just set it off there until I'm ready for it. All right, so it's thickened up some, but it could still be thicker, so I'm gonna go ahead and add in the rest. I think, honestly, butter works a little bit better than the cream because it's a little bit thicker than it has been when I use butter. So I might stick with the butter next time. So just melt another tablespoon of butter and mix it with the xanthan gum. All right, so after I stirred this in, it is still a little bit thinner than I would like. So I'm gonna add another 1/4 teaspoon. Now, definitely you want to do this in stages. You just don't want to dump in, you know, like 1 or 2 teaspoons or it'll become really, really thick. So let me just grab another little bit there, put that in, the rest of my cream here, and mix it up. There is no flavor or taste to the xanthan gum at all, so you will never know that it's in there. It doesn't impart any kind of flavor. What you will notice, though, is that your sauce is not quite as velvety as when you make a flour roux, okay? It's still absolutely delicious, and I love it, but because there's so much fat content in here and it doesn't have the flour to absorb it, it almost looks like the sauce is just about to break, if you know what that looks like. But it's so, so good that it's totally worth making. All right, now this is thickening up how I like it. Oh my gosh, it looks amazing. So 3/4 of a teaspoon of xanthan gum to about 2 tablespoons of cream is what I used, and that did a nice job. Now you could also use double the amount of chipped beef and keep the other ingredients the same if you wanted to. That would be perfectly fine. All right, let's get ready. It's all done. So now we're gonna serve it up. All right, so let me get the egg into my cup here. Of course, you could make it easier. You could put it onto a plate. It's gonna taste the same, obviously, but I just kind of like the way this looks. I just drape it over there and then just tuck it in. Make it as pretty or not as you like. And then take your chipped beef, nice scoopful, and pour it right in there. Oh my gosh, so, so delicious. Now this will serve about 4 people, 4 to 6, depending on how much you want to put in your egg cup. But it is a perfect low-carb breakfast, and it's absolutely delicious. Let's dig in. Oh my gosh. And then I like to break up the egg, get it coated in the chipped beef. Mmm. This is comfort food in a cup, let me tell you. Oh my goodness, it's good. Wow. Oh, I just love it. It's my favorite, and now I can enjoy it on my low carb eating plan. So if you're low carb, or if you just can't have flour, if you're gluten free, you may give this a try instead of the traditional way of making chipped beef gravy.